data and takeaways that we had for that and how we can really apply that to our marketing efforts and what we're doing. So we look at this. Earlier this year, we surveyed over 6,700 individuals, both B2B and B2C buyers. And this was a double-blind survey, so our research team, when we worked with the outside company, they didn't know this was Salesforce. So it's great data to understand what consumers are actually doing and how we need to connect with them as brands and as companies. So we really look in, we're going to hit on 4 areas today. Number 1, expectations have been on all-time high, really that value of connecting the customer, technology and how that's changing new benchmarks for innovation. And then finally, a lot of what we've talked about today is kind of that battle between trust, personalization, and privacy. So we'll jump into the high-level expectations, and the first thing that really jumps out to me when I look at this data is the expectations for both B2B and B2C buyers are coming very close together. So as marketers and brands, whatever we're selling or whoever we're marketing to, we really have to think of the idea that our expectations as consumers have raised for everything that we do. No matter who we're buying from or what product we're buying, we want a great experience. And we expect it across all industries and brands. So 80% of customers have said that the customer service, the experience is as important as the product. The experience is important as the product or service, and half of customers say we're not meeting those expectations. So there's a real big gap that we need to solve as marketers and as brands there is to really connect that, thinking about the entire customer experience. But as we dive into the next thing, the good news is customers, 2/3 of customers, are willing to pay more for a better experience. So they're going to vote with their wallets, and they're going to go where that great experience is. They're going to go where they have that opportunity. But the downside of that is half of customers have stopped or moved to a competitor because they provided a better experience. So it really does boil down to all of our marketing and all of our branding and all the efforts that we put into this as we reach and connect to customers and prospects, as we really work to connect to new individuals. It is really now all about experience, moving beyond product and moving beyond service and how we connect with them and think about it across the entire customer journey. And as we dive into really the 3 key areas, we're going to spend a lot of time on connected in the next section, but then really personalize. And this is where, again, the conversation about data really fits in. Consumers don't want to be treated like a number. Well, it's funny that John mentioned Austin. I did grow up in Austin, and a lot of friends went to UT. But the pitch for all of the other schools competing in Texas to get people not to go to UT was, you'll be more than just a number. At UT, you're a number. Everywhere else would say, hey, you're going to be a person. You're going to be Blake. You're not going to be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. You go to UT, you'll be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So 30 years later, the expectation hasn't really changed. It's just something we need to continue to keep in mind, is that customers want that personalized experience. Just like I wanted that personalized experience when I was in school, people want that personalized experience in every interaction that we have with them. And then really the instant on-demand engagement. So 5 or 6 years ago, maybe a little bit longer, you went out to dinner with friends, you had a bet on a movie, song, actor, play, when it came out, and everybody would kind of maybe bet the next dinner or the next round of drinks. You might wait for a couple of days, and then when somebody found out, they'd call or text or kind of solve that riddle. Now somebody just pulls out the phone, the argument's over in 5 seconds. It's a lot less fun. It's kind of like more fun to debate and argue about movies and songs and things that were kind of fun, but now we just instantly pull out our phone and find out that information. And this is changing customers. And the interesting thing about this is it's not only changing quickly the access to information, but it's changing how customers interact and that experience they want. And one of the things where we really have a place to pull through this customer experience is really thinking about the customer service side of the business. And this really goes moving beyond marketing, but taking that marketing into that holistic, connected customer journey. And thinking about how we can help our customers, our brands, or our consumers have a branded customer service experience. And with that, I mean providing them the resources to do things on their own. Having FAQs, having quick access to information so they can solve the easy problems, whether it's with chatbots or other technology, really quickly. Because that's what people want to do. right? Personally, when I schedule an appointment for a dentist or kind of that calling up and going back and forth on the phone, that's not a whole lot of fun. I want to look at my calendar, see what's available on their calendar, and just plug it in and go. As a consumer, those are the experiences that we want, and we have to cater to that in that connected on-demand experience. And people will promote and talk about their good and bad experiences very quickly. So thinking about how do we really connect across the entire customer life cycle as we go through the buying process. Before they buy, we're moving from that anonymous customer to that known customer, that known when they sign up for our, subscribe to our email list or ask for more information. As they go, we can progressively profile and add more information for each one of those steps along the way to really add that personalized communication and that content that's going to be relevant to what they've looked at on the website, what white papers they've downloaded, what videos they've watched. We can really start to create that content. We can bring our DMP data into our email content and start to inform our audiences and start to inform creative content. And this is one of the areas when we look at that all of the rich first-party data that we have that we don't leverage. Because there's a lot of data that we can connect through that email address to start to identify segments, products that they purchase, and make recommendations as we move through that first step. When they buy, they want education. They want education about products. They want comparisons. They want recommendations. They want knowledgeable salespeople who can be that advisor. And then really thinking about after they buy. And this is really the one where I think brands and organizations need to spend more time, is the post-purchase. Everybody in here sells a product or service or is trying to get somebody to subscribe to something, right? How many people do a welcome journey or onboarding journey when somebody buys your product or service? Okay. We should all be doing welcome journeys and onboarding journeys for our customers when they buy something. We should say thank you. We should purchase that. We should say thank you. Everybody loves a thank you. So really going and taking that first step. It also allows us to be a lot smarter with our advertising. Because when somebody goes from a non-customer or prospect and moves to a customer, we can now suppress them for all of their net new advertising. Who's bought something and then 2 days later gotten a coupon or offer for free shipping or 20% off? Yep, and that's a great experience, isn't it? Yeah. So just think about that. As soon as you see somebody purchases something, you trigger and you suppress them or change the advertising or the messaging that you're targeting them with. And really thinking about that experience and how we can do that and connect that, thinking about that entire process. The other thing is to go to your customer service manager. Go to your customer service manager and say, what drives the call volume for all of our new customers as soon as they sign up? What are the 4 or 5 things that drive, that really cause headaches for our new customers? And that becomes content that can be your welcome series, your onboarding information, and really creating and providing a great experience. And the things that's going to allow you to do, 2 things. Number 1, you're going to be here with customer service because it's going to drive down their call volume. And number 2, you're going to provide a better customer experience, which all of our connected to customers have told us they want. And then here, really thinking about everybody going to a channel. So the average customer uses 10 channels. And we think about this with the mobile phone, but we thought about mobile as a channel. Mobile is not really a channel. Mobile is a device with multiple channels. So really think about people moving around from email to web over to social networks and all of that coming together. The average person uses 10. They favor about 6, so they'll use 6 at a much higher rate. But they're leveraging those 10 to create that experience. So having that consistency across channels is extremely important to the customer who's sitting there flipping around and jumping around on their phone between all the different channels. And then finally, our technology is setting those new benchmarks. And we really think about this. It's changed tremendously. And it goes from the mobile apps to the IoT to cloud computing. And then really, natural language processing is a huge revolution that's happening. The fact that we can talk much faster than we can type. My daughters just finished elementary school, and they were actually being taught cursive. I don't know why. I really wish they would have spent that time teaching them how to type, because watching them try to type a research paper is a painful process. But they probably won't need that because in 2 or 3 years, they'll just be dictating the paper out. But as we see all those changes in consumer behavior, it'll be really interesting to see, or taking advantage of that and how we evolved. One of the things that happened in 1999, early 2000, was the cable companies were going to focus really local. They had this idea that you would be able to watch a football game and a commercial would come on for a pizza place, and that you'd be able to order pizza with your TV remote. And so this was the idea that they'd have some code on the box and you'd punch it in and order your pizza. Now the thing is, they got the customer experience right. They got the customer experience right that people would want an easy way to order pizza and not have to get it from their couch and just have it delivered. What they got wrong was the technology. The cable companies didn't see the technology. They didn't see that apps would come along. They didn't see the iPhone. They didn't see that apps would allow people to do that, and that the brands would be able, the pizza restaurants would be able to control that experience and own the consumer. So it's really thinking about not only the customer experience, but what's the technology that could come in and disrupt. We know what our customers want. What could disrupt what we're giving them, and really looking at all of the fourth industrial revolution and how that's changing everything that we do. And artificial intelligence plays a big role in this. And consumers, thankfully, are really comfortable with artificial intelligence. They understand it now. They understand that product recommendations and all of those things that they've been using for a long time is artificial intelligence and machine learning, and can pull all of that together. But they need to do it to improve experiences, and they want experiences proved through better recommendations and better personalization and all of that coming together. And so finally, the challenge that we have of personalization versus privacy. I remember a few years ago the idea of don't be creepy, following people around on the internet. That really kind of was not the best experience, and people kind of were, when that first came out, didn't really know what to make of it. But the reality is, customers want personalization. Customers want personalization at a very high rate. They are willing to give you information for personalized recommendations, proactive customer service, a simpler purchasing process. In that buying process, we need to make it as easy as we can to check out and not kind of ask questions multiple times. I think we've all had that experience, like you go in, you're filling out a form, you put in your zip code, but you also have to fill out your city and your state. The zip code gives you that information. Like, that's just additional fields that we're having somebody put in their checkout process that's slowing it down. So think about how we can remove those little things to speed up that process. Having salespeople that can help, and then really those personalized offers and discounts. Again, really looking at how we can provide offers that are personalized, that are relevant to that individual without just throwing a 20% or 30% coupon, but how can we offer them first looks or exclusives or make them part of a club to drive that. But the crisis of trust comes in. And this is really where thinking about all of this and thinking through all this stuff, and as we go through and think about how we keep that trust with our customers to drive that loyalty. 95% are more loyal to companies they trust. Trust is the new loyalty engine to drive that connection with your customers. They don't think, and then you see on the other side, when we look at what individuals think and what consumers think, there's that gap. My brands and the companies aren't really interested in what's best for me. They're not making the best product recommendations. They don't know how we use our data. So then we look at that, let's really jump into how we can build on that trust and create that relationship for how to use individuals' data and what customers expect for us to use their data. Explain how the data improves their experience. How are we going to use data to make personalized recommendations? Ask for permission. The great thing for all of the email marketers is this is kind of core to what we do. Email marketers has always been about permission. You ask somebody for permission to market to them. And it's a great opportunity when they raise their hand and say, hey, I want to have a relationship with your brand. Take advantage of that, respect it and trust, and use their data wisely. The transparent about how we use data, again, providing that permission, asking and letting them know how it's going to be used, and then give them control over what data is collected. We don't need everything. A lot of us aren't using all the data we have right now. So take what we can, what's valuable to that experience and what's valuable to improving that customer experience, and let's go after that data, but not necessarily all of the data that that individual has that we're not really going to use. If you're not going to use it, if you're not going to use it for targeting or segmenting or profiling, is it something that you really need? Is it something you want to have collecting dust, so to speak? And then finally, give them control over the data that's collected. So with that, I want to thank everybody for your time. You can go ahead and you can download, I know there were some copies floating around. You can also download the full report at salesforce.com/research, as well as all of our other research projects that we do, state of service, state of sales, and so really taking a look at kind of where the industry is going and how we can better connect and better reach the brands or reach our customers and drive their experience to improve that. So with that, thank you very much, and I'll pass it back over to John.
Thanks a lot, Blake. Great stuff as always. You've got to get on an airplane pretty quick. And I think you're a solo guy here, right? No other person from the team. If anyone have any questions for Blake right now before we let him off the hook? If not, you can get in touch with him via the information that he showed there, and also with the post-show attendee list. When those goes out, you'll have his contact information there as well. Okay, stop me if you do want to ask a question, but I'm going to get into the quick activities. You can go if you want, sir. Big round of applause. I mean, he's
like
yeah,
like a potted plant.
Or you could stand behind me, and then that'd make me really nervous. No, thanks a lot. Really appreciate it, as always. So this afternoon, we've got some great activities for you guys. We have the golf at the Coyote Moon course, which is an amazing golf course. We have a couple of spots left if those some people want to play. We'll leave at 2 o'clock, right out in front of the lobby here. The ATV tour and the Lake Tahoe kayak tour is also leaving at 2 p.m. So if you're signed up for those, please make your way down to the lobby by 2 p.m. Also, if you're doing ATVs, you need to go out before you leave here and sign a liability waiver form. It just says basically if you flip the ATV on top of yourself, it wasn't my fault. Matt Anarino, actually, a fun fact, injured himself quite impressively about 5 years ago on the ATV. He claimed a bear did it, but get him later at the cocktail party. He'll tell you exactly how that happened. No, but we do need you to fill out the form. It's just a quick signature out front. Lauren has the forms, so if you're going ATV touring, please do that. Tonight, cocktails at 6:30. It's going to be at the golf course. You just walk down behind the property here. You'll see us down there at 6:30. And then 7:30 is just basically on the deck near where we had cocktails, opening cocktails on Sunday night. It's actually one level up by the fireplace there. And that'll go at 7:30. I think that's all I've got for you guys. Go out, have a great time. Wear your badges tonight for cocktails and dinner. And thank you again for Datarama for kicking us off this morning. And then, of course, Blake from Salesforce for closing it up. Have a great afternoon. It's beautiful out there. Thank you. We'll see